Happy Wednesday, everybody. Welcome back to Slice of Life. Billy Harner, Keith Rad. This is the good news show at the Brooklyn Cyclones. There's a lot of bad news out there. Believe me, we get enough of that every single second of the day. We figured for about 15 minutes, we'll give you some good stuff to smile about. Billy, I want you to start with your favorite social slice because I saw this too. Kind of creeped me out, and I'm glad you had it on your list today.
Yeah, so I saw this last night, Keith, and I don't know if it's beautiful or terrifying. So I'll just go with the story and let everybody decide for themselves. So Barcelona, like the rest of us, has been sort of in quarantine, isolation, whatever you want to call it. But at the Grand, oh my goodness, when I try to do other languages, I make it sound even worse. The Grand Théâtre de l'Issour. That's French, but hey, whatever. They celebrated with a performance on Monday to help commemorate Spain's lifting of lockdown restrictions. But the performance was a little bit different, Keith. Like most parts of the world, no large gatherings of people, so crowds were restricted. So instead of performing in front of a normal crowd of people, they performed in front of a crowd of 2,292 plants. Yes, just like that. The concept was courtesy of a local artist named Eugenio Impada, and was meant to symbolize the value of art and music and nature working together in harmony. So there was a string quartet that performed to an audience at home as well. But there were also 2,292 plants in attendance. So all the plants will be donated to healthcare workers from the hospital clinic of Barcelona. But when you see these pictures, it almost looks like a horror movie, like Little Shop of Horrors, or I don't know, like these four musicians have been kidnapped and taken to a world where they are the servants of our overlord plant masters. I don't know. It's a little interesting to see, but the pictures are there. I mean, it's cool. There's no way around it, but it's a little creepy as well.
Yeah, I think I know exactly what you're thinking of. You are a child of the Jumanji era, and you are thinking that this is going to, the ivy's just going to creep around your house, wrap you up, and eat you like a Venus flytrap. I get it. That's why art is up for interpretation. Some people see plants and gardens and greenhouses and think, wow, and others think, run. So I appreciated that story that you told today, Bill.
It also made me think of Seinfeld, where he says all of his knowledge of high-class music comes from Looney Tunes cartoons, which is basically where I am as well.
For my favorite social slice, these videos always get to me. We all have a little soft spot. This colorblind dad received a pair of Pile Stone glasses for Father's Day. Take a look.
What is this?
Do you know what they are now?
No, what is
Let
it?
him open it, Mariah.
Reading glasses?
They're the special glasses.
Are you serious?
Yeah. They're the special glasses.
So the company, again, is Pilestone. These videos kind of surface every once in a while. You see colorblind glasses. You see some kids get cochlear implants. But for Pilestone, you can go online, do a colorblind test. Apparently there's deficiencies in like red and green vision, and people are more colorblind than you'd think. But seeing the dad break down a little bit, these are small miracles. I mean, your brain is getting a stimulus that in some ways it's never experienced before, and it's got to be overwhelming. I don't know what it feels like. It's like a magic bullet, a magic pill for some people who are missing out on. They have 4.5 senses of the 5, if you will. I don't know what to attribute it to. I don't know what to compare it to in my life. I've been blessed with, good health so far. But I don't know. I'm sure this touched you as well, seeing a dad break down a little bit, a big guy like that, but kind of a beautiful story.
I love seeing these stories. I mean, there's the ones of the ear implants, the cochlear implants you talked about, where like a baby hears its mom's voice for the first time and they just are completely mesmerized. Like those things, like that's like field of dreams. I'm gonna cry every single time I see one of those things. But this is great. I mean, when you see these things, I learned a little bit about color blindness a few years ago. There was a guy, Santino, who worked with us, who did a lot of our graphics, but he was colorblind. Which was unbelievable because he's unbelievably talented and great at what he does and has gone on to do great things. But he's a graphic designer who's colorblind. So he would like show me things and say like, what color is this? And I was like, what are you talking about? Wow. But it also opened my eyes too, because, we had stuff that we would do for the Cyclones where it was our pocket schedule would be in colors that if you were colorblind, you wouldn't be able to tell if we were home or road. So I started to take that stuff into account when we were putting color designs on things. And then, a few years ago, the NFL had a game on Thursday night in their Color Rush uniforms, and it was a green. I think it was a green and a red, and there were people who are colorblind who couldn't tell who was who. So it sort of opened my eyes to what these people go through, and you sort of take it for granted. How the beauty in the world around us. I'm talking about the plants and the unity of nature and music. Now I'm going off on a tangent about the beauty of the world around us, but you don't realize what you don't have until it's not there, I guess. So it's always great to see these things.
Absolutely. As I was watching it too, and he's reacting to the colors, and I'm thinking about all the problems that are going on in the world, these big picture problems, and macro issues, and micro issues, and this guy just sees reds and blues, and he's saying, "Oh wow, that's a shade of orange that I didn't know existed." So the little things. Chicken Parm Hero, it's about time that we actually talk about some Chicken Parm Hero Italian style food on this show. I'm surprised it's kind of taken this long, but I'd like you to meet the Lasagna Lady, Michelle Brenner from Gig Harbor, Washington State, furloughed from her job, unfortunately, due to COVID. And on that tough day where she was furloughed, she decided to eat her feelings. She made a big tray of lasagna. Personally, tough day, bad broadcast. I'll take it home with a Whopper of fries and a Coke and just melt my sorrows away. So I feel her pain. But she ended up writing in a kind of a local Facebook group, homemade lasagna beats store-bought lasagna any day of the week. She just puts her opinion out there and then follows it up a little bit later and says, if anybody wants any lasagna, let me know. I'll make it. And then, boom, it takes off. She ended up using her stimulus check, the $1,200, to purchase the ingredients and started making the lasagna for healthcare workers, people who are just working all these hours in a day, don't have any time to cook, single parents who, can't make ends meet. Think about that. And not only did it take off, she would donate this food to people and they would give her donations right back. She's now grown it to $22,000 and counting. And she's 8 hours a day, 7 days a week, whipping up lasagna for people, making tray after tray. She's now rented out a commercial kitchen locally so that she can really start to pump it out. And then my favorite quote, she says, "The world as we know it is falling apart, but my two little hands are capable of making a difference. I can't change the world, but I can make lasagna." And that is beautiful. And I love that. And I love you, Lasagna Lady.
Lasagna is one of the greatest things I think ever. I make lasagna here in my house. I want to make it today because of this story, but it's 1,000 degrees, so I'm not going to turn the oven on inside. But it stays forever. It's meat, it's cheese, it's pasta. You can't go wrong with it. It's already disgusting, like in terms of when you slop it on the plate, so you don't have to worry about getting messy. My kids eat it; it's perfect. So I'm all about this lady and store-bought lasagna. Like we get Costco lasagnas and throw it in the freezer for a day when you're feeling lazy, and it's just not the same. And lasagna on day 2 better than lasagna on day 1. Hot take, you get it from me here. Whatever you want, I got hot takes for you. So for my Chicken Parm Hero. June is Pride Month here in the United States to commemorate the Stonewall riots. following a police raid in the Stonewall Inn in Greenwich Village in 1969. But this year's Pride celebration will be very different for my chicken farm hero, whose name is Kenneth Feltz. Kenneth is a 90-year-old man living in Colorado who used this time during quarantine to sort of come to grips with what he's been struggling with for basically his entire life. Kenneth decided it was finally time to come out of the closet with his friends and family, because he decided that the fear of judgment would no longer hold him back from being true to himself and what he wanted, the way he wanted to live his life for his remaining years. So during quarantine, he had a conversation with his daughter, who is his only child from a previous marriage that ended in divorce. And he sat down with her and told her that he thought, if he was being honest with himself, that the love of his life was a man that he met in the 1950s. And they had a relationship, but he was never comfortable enough to be honest and come out, and was living two different lives, one where he was Kenneth, the straight man, and one where he was Larry, a gay man. And he needed to finally just be who he was, and was looking for her support in order to guide him in this revealing of his true self. So his daughter was on board and completely supportive of everything. She helped give him the confidence that he needed to come out to the rest of his family and friends. And Kenneth, at 90 years old, even took to the streets with the help of his daughter, by his side, to participate in the Denver Pride virtual 5K, and raised $500 for the LGBT community in Colorado as well. So now that this story is starting to gain some traction, I bet that $500 is going to go up a little bit more. And it's great to see, he's posted stuff on Facebook along with his story, and seeing people that have had similar experiences, growing up in a time where things were less tolerated here in our country. And they're sort of getting inspired by Kenneth as well. So it's great to see this. It's Pride Month, and it's just a happy story of somebody who finally is able to feel comfortable enough to live their life in the way that they wanted to be living their life all along.
Yeah, this story, when you sent it to me, it was really happy, but I also felt sad for this guy. I mean, 90 years without feeling truly comfortable, even in your own skin, in your own home. I'm sure at 90 years old, he's not out in the world like he used to be, so he's not coming into contact with as many people, but still sitting there feeling, hey, this is not who I am. This is not what I'm about. It's nuts. And think about all the people who may have passed on before him that could never come to grips with something like that, could never come out at any point in time during their life. And unfortunately, I'm sure they passed away with those secrets. So these are stories that, we take it for granted now that we live in a world in social media. We are exposed to so many people and so many colors and so many thoughts, and everybody can be their own self. We kind of take that for granted. There's a lot of people who grew up during times where it wasn't taken for granted. And even in some places, it's still, you can't, be your true self. So good for you, Kenneth, Larry, you're good for you to now be one person and live who you are finally. And hopefully he's got enough time left to enjoy being his true self for as long as possible. So awesome story.
And the fact that he was comfortable enough to do it at this point, hopefully that inspires some folks to do it themselves, and not wait until you're 90. Live your life the way you want to live it, and hopefully this inspires some folks to get on board with that as well.
Speaking of getting on board with sports, everybody got on board finally. There will be baseball, Bill, and we will have an MLB season starting July 23rd or 24th, depending on the schedule, which is going to be, in my opinion, one of the coolest, weirdest things that's going to come out. Hopefully this week, maybe next week. Camps report, as we said yesterday, July 1st. They signed off on the health and safety protocols. Yada, 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 long and short of it. Baseball is coming back at the end of July. And again, can we see Yankees-Mets 30 of the 60 times? Maybe not. But hopefully we get that East versus East, Central versus Central, West versus West. a lot of local rivalries to make the next 2-3 months crazy, insane, competitive, and just happy to have it back.
Yeah, so it sounds like the schedule is going to be 40 games within your division and 20 games with your interleague rival, I guess, the division. So, the Mets are going to play the Phillies, the Nationals, the Marlins, the Braves 40 times. And then they're going to play the Yankees, the Red Sox, the Blue Jays, the Orioles, the Rays, the other 20 times. So that's a lot of good teams that are going to be squaring off against each other a lot. And it'll be cool to see, things, but it's going to be cool to see, things like Jacob deGrom pitching against Vladimir Guerrero Jr. Like that's something that, we haven't seen. And, hopefully we see it at some point. The schedule lines up. So that's going to be cool. I'm reading more about it, how Major League Baseball is sending planes to the Dominican and all these other foreign countries to pick up the players, to bring them back to the States with the help of the State Department to expedite visas and making sure that they're not traveling commercially and can be exposed to coronavirus. So there are a lot of cogs in this machine that is making this happen all within 7 days. I saw there was a tweet last night about how they're going to broadcast games, which is interesting. I haven't seen anywhere finalized, but at least the rumors at this point are they're going to just have one stream for television that the home broadcast is responsible for supplying. The Mets are playing the Yankees, and it's at Yankee Stadium. You're not going to hear Gary, Keith, and Ron. You're going to hear Michael Kay and his cast of characters, whoever's going to be broadcasting that day. But I think radio is going to go on as is the norm. So it's going to be interesting to see guys try to call it down the middle. As a Mets fan, when Pete Alonso hits a home run, you love Gary Cohen's "It's Out of Here," and it'll be interesting. But it's back. There's still a lot of hoops to jump through. They're going to have to report to camp, I think, July 1st to get tested, and then it'll actually start on July 3rd. The taxi squad component of it, there's going to be something like 30 guys on the roster and then 3 taxi squads players that travel with the team, including 1 additional catcher. Extra innings are going to have the minor league rule with the runner starting on second base, universal DH. There's a lot of different things. No fans in the stands, but come opening day, Jacob deGrom is going to be on the mound against somebody, and I'm going to be happy as heck that baseball is back.
Yeah, and for those out there who are freaking out, 100 fewer games than normal, starting with a runner at second base. This is going to be a little taste of New York Penn League short season action. Don't worry, it's really exciting because it's contained. 60 games, we'll see what happens. So this is a good year, like you said, to kind of get a little bit of that experimentation in because everyone just wants to see a game. They don't care what color it is, how long it is, whatever it's going to be, just play. So maybe a chance to kind of open some eyes about some different things. We'll see if that runner on second base leads to riots or anything like that. A lot of people are unhappy about that, but we'll see how that all works out.
Yeah, baseball has a lot of get off my lawn in it. Like there's a lot of people that are, they don't like anything to change. So the runner on second base in minor league baseball, I like it. I mean, it makes you don't have these marathon games where you end up with position players pitching or having to run out pitchers that it's to the point where it's borderline not good for their safety. And it's really, that first batter up, there's a lot of strategy to it. Do you want to bunt the guy over to third? And in our experience, a lot of the leadoff guys, they strike out. So it's basically a runner on second with 1 out, which is a much more manageable situation. So it'll be interesting to see. It changes the dynamic of what you're used to, but it's fun. It's different. And hopefully you don't have to stay up till 4 o'clock in the morning watching 16-inning games,
Yeah, it's back, baby. It is back. All right, Bill, we'll see you tomorrow for Slice of Life, episode 55.
Double nickel. Let's go.